The boxers have been given their instructions. The seconds are out. The crowd is ready for another edition of Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing with your presenter, the boxing historian, Greg Rashid.
Well, I want to say Swadee Krap to everyone out there, which means hello in Thai. And yes, I'm in Bangkok, Thailand, if you're new to the program. But this is Greg Rashid, another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. And what we usually do on this program, we do fantasy fights, we talk about boxing history, combat sport history, and the latest that's going on in boxing and combat sports in general. But today, and I've said this in the past, from time to time, we kind of change subjects on here because there's a lot of important issues out there. And this month, if you're listening in October, and I'm taping this on October 19th, October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I thought it'd be appropriate to have as my guest someone who used to do commentaries on my show a long time ago, not that long, but 10 years ago or so, on my show about domestic violence. And she is one of the major advocates, activists against domestic violence. I'm talking about Lynn Thyman, and she's the founder, the CEO of Lasers. And I'm just so happy to have her on today. And I'm going to play that right now, the interview I did with her. So let's hear that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. Although today, we won't be talking boxing right now. And this is Greg Rashid again. I am so happy to be interviewing today a longtime friend who I haven't interviewed on this program in 4 years since the pandemic. Believe it or not, but I'm so happy to have her on here. And yes, this is a boxing show, but I can interview whoever I want. And I'm just so honored today to have Lynn Thyman, the creator, the director, CEO of Lasers. And she's going to describe what Lasers means. And I'm just so happy to have you on, Lynn. Are you there, Lynn?
I am here, Greg. How are you?
I am fine. Just happy to have you back on again. And tell my listeners, what is Lasers, what you actually do, because I want my listeners to know Lynn is one of the leading experts as far as domestic violence in the world, not in the DC area or anything, but in the world. So tell my folks what Lasers is.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Greg. It's such a pleasure and an honor as always to be on your program and to share with the listeners. So LASER stands for Leaving Abuse, Supporting Everyone, Restoring Survivors. And the motto is targeting domestic violence holistically. So many years ago, I dedicated my life to domestic violence prevention, family violence prevention, intervention, education. I know that's pretty long. But the key words are prevention and intervention. And October is Domestic Violence Prevention and Awareness Month. I've dedicated my life to this work coming out of my own experiences growing up in a home with mental abuse, verbal abuse as well, some physical and financial abuse. And then later on, I found myself involved in a relationship, my first one ever at the age of 19, where I was with a guy who not only verbally and emotionally, mentally abused me, but he also physically abused me as well. And so I realized later on that I was looking for someone like my father and didn't even realize it. So realizing that so many of us experience average childhood experiences, we have trauma, I made a decision to do something about that and to become an educator in this space.
and you have done a superb job. And something you just mentioned that I don't think you've ever said, and I have interviewed you many times over the years, but you said financial abuse. And that's something I've never seen when people talk about domestic violence. And just elaborate on that, because I hadn't heard that before.
Right. So financial abuse is when a person either withholds money from someone, um, and keeps them from having their basic needs met, or a person can even refuse to work and
Ah,
they are able bodied to work, and and it's not a mutual agreement that they not work in the relationship. And so then they place the burden on the other partner to provide all of their needs for them unfairly, unjustly, and while they spend frivolously, and don't reciprocate in the relationship. And so, what does that mean? Doesn't mean equality, but what it does mean is equity. And so, you may have someone in a relationship, it could be male or female, if it's an intimate relationship that doesn't work, but they're taking care of the household chores. Um, they are maybe going to school and getting their education or interning somewhere, going through some type of job training, something to show that they are contributing to the advancement of their education and the relationship, and or the relationship.
that's something I never had heard that added on to that. And is that something you did you? I don't remember you talking about that in the past. Is that something you like? It just evolved as you've been doing this work?
Yeah. So in the field of DV, it over the years has become, meaning financial abuse has become a growing topic of education, and um, you know, so in my work, I don't just, focus on the state that I live in or the DC metropolitan area, um, or even in the United States, but I have done collaborative work internationally on domestic violence, and hearing the different stories of women and men too who have experienced this in their families, um, with intimate partners or even from parents. And you can have a financial abuser that's spending too much money, and um, the other partner in the relationship is saying, "But our needs are not met," and asking them to be a better spender, and then they spend that money frivolously, um, and so that is also another extreme of abuse as well, financially.
And that's something, I'm thinking about as you're saying this. What goes on over here, as my listeners know, I'm in Thailand, and being part Filipino, you know this, but that's a big thing they don't talk about, as you know. They won't actually say the term domestic violence, but over this way, that whole issue of just financial abuse and physical abuse is a big thing. And I want you to talk a little more about the experience, the Asian experience of domestic violence, because it's not something, and I can say this frankly, if I wasn't looking, if I didn't know you for one, but also didn't look at what's going on in America on a regular basis, I wouldn't even know this was a domestic violence month. And I know because it's not something that's brought up over here. And talk a little bit about that as far as this side of the world from what you've seen.
Right. Yes. So, as you mentioned, I am multicultural, and a part of my culture is Filipino. I'm first generation Filipino on my mother's side of the family, and so domestic abuse does occur in all different types of cultures to different degrees, of course, and there might be some ways that the abuse is perpetuated um, at a greater scale than others. So I'll speak from what I've seen in the Filipino culture, um, and it's not to say that this is what highlights the culture,
Right.
but or to say that Filipino culture is abusive. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But what I have witnessed is that sometimes you will have um, the men uh, in certain communities that will have multiple women, and they may not be aware that this one man they're dealing with um, has been going around to different villages and is having relationships with other women, and then later on find out that you know he actually fathered several women in different communities. It's frowned upon, and yet that happens. Another form of abuse that I've also seen is wherein, because of the pressures from American culture and society, many Filipinos believe that they are so poor that they have to find a quick way to make money and achieve the things that American culture and society has, um, only to find out later on that they actually had everything. They had the
Right.
land, they had, the land by the sea, they had, fruit bearing trees on their property, they had plenty of wood where they could build their own house, their own lumber. And so what they do is some women in Filipino culture, they seek men from other um, Western cultures, and they're so desperate to the point that they will take abuse from that man. They will be in that relationship, take abuse from him in the hopes of having a better life. And actually, they will leave the Philippines and go to that country, um, only to find out that that man was really just trying to lure them away from their own community to become isolated from their own family in order to take advantage of them. And then they end up finding their voice later on.
Right.
Um, that is similarly, that's what happened with my mother. My mother thought that she was actually paving a better life for herself when she married my father. But what she didn't realize is that my father was abusive. Um, Things from his childhood and also PTSD from the military were contributing factors to the abuse that took place in the relationship that he perpetuated with her. And then on the other side, my mother was, she was mistreated by her mom, being the oldest daughter in the family. And so cultural pressures from her side and pressures from my father put, insurmountable amount of um, abuse on my mom. And she, even to this day, unfortunately hasn't fully recovered.
Oh, that's sad to hear that. I want to ask you too, Lynn. Since we've last talked, and I'm glad you said all that. Since we last talked, what have you seen as far as, uh, lack of a better word, as far as improvement, as far as in America now, as far as understanding of domestic violence, or has it gotten, or is it leveled out? Is it the same? Because I know when we last talked, it was during the pandemic, and it seemed like, and I remember we were talking about the fact that domestic violence was increasing during the pandemic just because people were at home together and couples were at home and they were getting just sick of each other. And what have you seen since that time?
Yeah, so what I have seen is I think people now are more aware. There's a greater number of people that are more aware um, of abuse. They are more aware that they were actually in relationships that were abusive. That time during the pandemic of being isolated for many and realizing, wow, my partner has been hurting me all these years. And I've just been running away from that abuse, using work or using, other activities, um, and perhaps even substances to cope. But then to be in the house with that same person and not being able to even get out because the law said you have to isolate, you have to social distance, really brought things to light. So a lot of relationships have split up since then. Some relationships have gotten better, but more relationships have split up than actually reconciled. And people also, too, have become more aware and are seeking now more holistic ways to improve themselves and become better people. And so we saw an increase of, personal development and self development,
Right.
and people wanting to learn more about trauma and adverse childhood experiences and find ways to really heal from those things.
Now, I was wondering too, and I'm going to have to get, you realize that a number of years ago, way back when, you were doing a monthly thing on our show for a while, and I'm thinking about doing that again with you. But I was wondering, what if, in all these years now, what do you ever sit and say to yourself, well, I need to do blank, or there needs to be more of this done, or or maybe I've done a little too much, or, is there anything like that that you reflect on now after all these years?
Yeah. So, the great thing about, being in this work, if you allow it to be a tool even for yourself, and not just say, oh, this is something that other people need, but actually be open to the fact that you might need, to use your own tools at some point. It's helped me to definitely um, know where I need to heal in my journey as well from past traumas, coming from relationships that were abusive. Again, in my own family, um, first person that I was with, for example, um, and and getting the tools from different resources, participating in different programs where I can get certified, and just learning more about how trauma affects us, and also how generational trauma affects us, right? And how
Right.
do we break the cycles of abuse? And how do we take what we've learned and share those with other people? And so I have learned that self care is extremely important. That just because I'm doing a lot of good things for others, it does not replace doing good for myself as well. So self-care by the way of getting plenty of rest, eating well, drinking plenty of water, um, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, getting out into nature, grounding. So literally taking the shoes off my feet and putting my feet in the bare soil, in the bare grass or the bare sand. Um, this is what I've learned that I have to do more of over the years, and have been doing. And proud to say that I've been doing a lot more traveling as well. And so travel for me is it's a routine. It's just like going to the grocery store.
Right.
I build into my own finances travel because that does help in your growth, and it also helps in your healing as well.
It certainly does. It really does. And I'm so happy that since we last talked as far as on the air, that you have gone into a different world. I shouldn't say different world, but actually, you're doing more spiritual development that you didn't. I know you would touch on it a little bit on our older shows, but I see from, looking at your site and also looking at some of the things you post online that is, I can see, frankly, just say, and you already had that wonderful gleam in your eyes, but it's something, there's a special glow you have now. And just elaborate a little more on what this has done as far as spiritually for you, the different, I guess you're in one spiritual society you're in, and, what it's done.
Right. Thank you, Greg. I mean, thank you for, taking notice of those things. Absolutely. I mean, this journey has become ever increasing, ever evolving uh, spiritual journey for me as well, because once you are able to work through your trauma, and it becomes less of a predominant factor in your life, meaning something that you have to maintain. You have to work at keeping at bay, those triggers, and you can really flow. just flow in your in being an actualized human being, being happy, being lighthearted, not feeling depressed or anxiety or feeling those things as much. Um, the spiritual walk, I think, is where most of us want to get to, like being able to be on autopilot and consciously in autopilot about it, being very mindful, and so that's why this part of the work is so important for me. Um, Helping other people as I have learned and feeling that joy and feeling that exhilaration, being able to share and impart with others the freedom that I have experienced by literally um, going through the educational process, teaching others about how to have a healthy relationship, and then promoting that as a lifestyle for myself. It really and truly is a lifestyle, I can say. And we have to get to the point where we are promoting healthy relationships as a lifestyle, not
Right.
dysfunction, not what we see on, reality shows and social media and things of that nature. So I've gone on several spiritual journeys, actually, literally traveling and going and visiting and sitting with various teachers of spirituality and learning different methods of therapy and healing, and even diving into the plant herbal space and learning how these sacred plants, if you will, do provide natural healing
Right.
for certain ailments and can soothe and ease the body even after a long day. So, something very common that people overlook is lavender, not just as a fragrance, but actual like lavender tea, how
Oh,
that can
yes,
naturally relax you and promote a healthy rest.
definitely.
So just things like that have been such a huge part of my journey. So not just talking about domestic violence, but really promoting healthy relationships, starting with yourself first.
That's the
And
main.
a big part of that
That's the
is the
main thing.
spirit, the spiritual work.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got to definitely get you back on here, obviously, Lynn. But what would you say? Because right now, I was about to say, you folks over there are having a big election, but I'm part of it because I just voted. But anyway, what would you say to the candidates, and not only the presidential candidates, but all these folk running, as far as the issue of domestic violence? You had an elevator speech to give them. You got to speak at the RNC, DNC, wherever. And maybe you've already done this in some places, but what would you say to them?
What I would say is that I think we need to make healthy relationship education a priority in this country. Um, there is no excuse for abuse. Of course, that sounds cliche-ish. And at the same time, it is the truth because people are still experiencing domestic abuse. The numbers are going up in many cities around the country. And so the only way to really combat that is to educate first and foremost about healthy relationships, and that's why I devoted my life to prevention and intervention education. We don't want to continue to put a band-aid on the problem. We want to get ahead of it.
Right.
And so what I would say is we need to bring that back into our moral compass as a society. We know that social media is definitely a contributing factor now to that. And the last thing I would say to the candidates is that in order to be a good, effective leader, you have to be actively working on your own trauma as well. And so hurt people. And you can have a leadership title, but if you're hurt, you're going to hurt the people that you say you want to serve and protect.
Excellent. That is so great what you said there. I may copyright that and steal that. No, but anyway, Lynn, I could as I always say, I could talk to you all day, and we will be talking offline. But if folks want to reach you, how can they reach you?
Sure. So the best way to reach me, I have a website and then I also have an Instagram as well. So the website is www.lynn wearelasers.org, WEARELASERS.org. And then I'm also on Instagram at Lynn Twyman, and that is spelled LYNTWYMAN, at Lynn Twyman on IG as well.
Well, Lynn, I just want to thank you as always for coming on here. It's been too long. 4 years is too long. It's too long. We're going to get you back on it because I want you to talk about it. We talked about it, God, I keep talking now about years ago, but it's been years ago. We did a show, if you remember, where we talked about sports and domestic violence. And we got to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do that again. You know, have to get that going probably around, because I think the last time we did it was during one of the Super Bowl weekends, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are going to do that again. But is there anything else you want to say to my listeners out there?
Yeah, so what I want to say is that, take a look at where you fall in this equation, where your responsibility lies. Is there any way by which you can, help somebody else even? You may not be necessarily a victim or survivor or identify as a victim or survivor. Hopefully you're not a perpetrator or an abuser, but if you are, take a look at that as well. And, seek the help and the support. Overall, each and every person should learn about domestic abuse, family violence, get educated on it, and, share that information with a young child. Because you never know,
right?
Who you'll save if you just sit down and talk with the next person, especially this next generation coming up. They deserve a healthy chance. They deserve a healthy relationship.
Something just hit me just now. Are they teaching domestic violence as far as watching out for it, being aware of it in the public schools that you know of, especially in the DC area? Are they doing that?
It is not something that is widely promoted. As such, there are, with family education, those things are touched on, and different schools will host like events for teen dating violence and things of that nature. So it is touched on, but as an advocate, and I'm not the only one that feels that way, there are many advocates that believe that more of this education should happen and take place just in general around the country as a whole. And so I can't speak exactly to all that is being offered, let's say in DC or in other school systems, but we do know that there is not enough of this education in general, and there needs to be.
Well, Lynn, again, thank you so much for coming on, this late in the evening, early for me, but late in the evening. But we're going to have you on again. And one more time, give them your email and everything so they can get in contact with you.
Sure. So my website is www.wearelasers.org. And the my Instagram is Lynn Twyman. So LYNTWYMAN.
All right. Thank you so much, Lynn. We'll be talking to you on here again on these airwaves again. You just take care. Have a great rest of the night and rest of the week. And I'll be talking to you very soon. Thank you so much, Lynn.
You're welcome. Thank you, Greg.
And that was so great talking to Lynn again. It's been 4 years. One of my all-time, maybe my favorite guests on all the shows I've done in over, 20-some years. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Get in contact with Lynn at Lasers. She's not, she does international work, so please contact her. And just really, if there's a situation that you're aware of in your family, community, and all, and you suspect some domestic violence, report it. Or talk to that person and just say, what's going on here? See what you can do. Because we're all, as I always say at the end of the program, I'll say it now, we're all in this together. We're on this sphere together, so let's work to make everything better. But anyway, just glad to have Lynn on, and we're going to switch gears. And by the way, I want to say, too, I want to thank the folks who listen and all over the world. I get so many just kind messages. But I always want to say hi to the folks who listen every Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Mountain Time on KUHSdenver.com, created by the one and only Henry Archuleta. And right now, we're going to shift gears now, because swiftly we're going to have the one and only Jessica, your martial arts champion. I don't know who she is, swiftly beat up. I don't know what she's done. But anyway, she's going to give us a little boxing history for the week of October the 20th through 26th on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
This is Jessica, your martial arts champion, with boxing history for the week of October 20th through October 26th. October 20th, 1947. Rinty Monahan regained the world flyweight title with a 15-round decision over Dado Marino. October 21st, 1953. Carl Olsen became world middleweight champion over Randy Turpin. October 22nd, 1966. Carlos Ortiz beat Sugar Ramos to retain his world lightweight title. October 23rd, 1964. Joe Frazier defeated German Hans Huber and won the Olympic heavyweight gold medal in Tokyo. October 24th, 1894. Ted Kid Lewis was born. He would win the World Welterweight Championship twice and be regarded as one of the all-time greats. October 25th, 1996. When We Were Kings is released. The documentary film directed by Leon Gast about the heavyweight championship between George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. October 26, 1951, Joe Louis fought for the last time, losing to Rocky Marciano.
Thank you so much for saying that, Jessica. Give us that boxing history. And so many people like this. So I just love that she does this on the show, but we still don't know what is her martial arts skill. What's her belt? Where is she champion? I'm afraid to ask her because I might get hit in the head by a roundhouse. But anyway, Jessica has some more news because she's going to talk about now 2 stories about the Professional Fighters League. And we've touched on that before on this program, but she's going to get into more detail about it because some of you may not be familiar with it. Because if you're listening to this on the 20th, a major PFL fight card is occurring on Saturday the 19th. But she's going to talk about that. So let's hear that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Professional Fighters League, PFL, one of the fastest growing and most innovative sports leagues, is proud to announce the ultimate alternate viewing experience for PFL Battle of the Giants on Saturday, October 19 at the Mayadeen in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Fans who purchase the pay-per-view will have the option of watching the event via Helwanavision, an alternate broadcast where award-winning journalist Ariel Helwani and fellow members of the Uncrowned crew will provide a unique perspective and commentary live for the Battle of the Giants PPV. This exciting broadcast will be available exclusively on DAZN at 4 p.m. EST. In addition to real-time insights from the Uncrowned team, Helwanavision will also include guests from the combat sports world to offer fresh perspectives on the fight card and the live event itself. The guests will be a blend of experienced fighters, analysts from around the globe, and celebrities from the combat sports world. Star-studded guests confirmed for the innovative altcast include global superstar Jake Paul, NFL Super Bowl champion Rob Gronkowski, MMA legend Chael Sonnen, former Invicta FC champion Megan Anderson, and MMA head coach Tim Welch. The first of its kind, simulcast hosted by Helwani, will air live from Uncrowned's brand new studio in New York City. PFL is thrilled to team up with Uncrowned, Jake Paul, and Rob Gronkowski to create an innovative fan viewing experience for the biggest MMA pay-per-view event of the year, said PFL CEO Peter Murray. the Battle of the Giants featuring Francis Ngannou versus Renan Ferreira in the PFL Heavyweight World Title fight will be exclusively on DAZN PPV Worldwide on Saturday, October 19th, live from the Mayadeen in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We're excited to debut Helwanavision during PFL's signature event of the year, said Ryan Spoon, president of Yahoo Sports. Bringing the expert commentary from Ariel and crew to viewers on DAZN will be a fitting exclamation point to our uncrowned launch week. I have always had a huge interest in mixed martial arts and have followed Francis Ngannou's career from the start. When I heard Francis was making his return to MMA in the Battle of the Giants, I jumped at the chance to partner with the PFL and take part in the Helwanavision Altcast, said NFL Super Bowl champion Rob Gronkowski. I look forward to catching the action and making some history along the way on October 19th. See you all there. I saw up close and personal how massive Francis Ngannou and Renan Ferreira are during their face-off in D.C., international superstar Jake Paul said. On Saturday, October 19, Francis is either going to show the MMA world why he is still the best heavyweight in the world, or Renan will take over this throne. This is the best heavyweight MMA fight of 2024, and I'm looking forward to joining Ariel and the uncrowned team on Helwanavision to break it all down live. MMA fans won't want to miss this. In the main event of PFL Battle of the Giants, MMA superstar and undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Francis Ngannou, 17-3, makes his highly anticipated return to the sport of MMA, as the Predator faces the most feared heavyweight 6'8", 2023. PFL heavyweight champion Renan Problema Ferreira, 13-3 NC, for the newly minted PFL Super Fights Championship belt. The co-main event will feature another major world title fight featuring the greatest women's MMA fighter of all time, Cris Cyborg, 27-1 NC, whose legacy will be on the line when she squares off against PFL two-division champion Larissa Pacheco, 23-4, who looks to prove she is the greatest women's MMA fighter on the planet. The 2024 PFL Global season will consist of 10 events, 6 regular season events, 3 playoff events, and 1 world championship. The PFL can change the schedule at its discretion. There will be 6 PFL weight divisions. Fighters will be scheduled to compete in 2 regular season fights, each consisting of 3 5-minute rounds. Fighters will earn points during the regular season based on their performance and will be ranked in division standings accordingly. At the end of the regular season, the top 4 in each division will make the playoffs. In the playoffs, fighters will compete in single elimination semifinals to determine the 2 championship fighters for each division. The 2 fighters who advance out of the semifinals in each division will compete at the 2024 PFL World Championship in a 5-round fight for their division title. The 2024 season will feature 6 weight divisions, 5 men's divisions and 1 women's division. Featherweight, 145 pounds. Women's flyweight, 125 pounds, lightweight, 155 pounds, welterweight, 170 pounds, light heavyweight, 205 pounds, heavyweight, 265 pounds. Fighters will be allowed a 1-pound overage for regular season and playoff bouts, subject to commission approval. Championship bout competitors will not be given any weight allowance and will have to meet the upper limit of the division they are scheduled to compete in. Fighters in a division will fight any other fighter in their weight division as directed by the league, subject to commission approval. Weight divisions may be adjusted to conform with commission requirements.
That's going to be really interesting. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Ngannou in this, because Ngannou's big, but this cat that he's fighting, oh my God, I really want to see that. But Jessica, she has one more story here. This is about Fabio Wardley, and he won last weekend. She'll tell you more about this. So let's hear that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Fabio Wardley has welcomed a fight with Deontay Wilder following his victory over Frazer Clarke. Wardley is coming off a spectacular first-round knockout win against Clarke. The bout took place on the biggest stage of the co-main event of the Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol undisputed light heavyweight championship fight. It was a rematch of their clash 6 months ago, which ended in a controversial split draw. Clark got off the canvas in the 4th round and overcame a deducted point to secure the draw. This time around, Wardley made no mistake. He backed up Clark, dropped him after landing numerous right hands to end the fight. Wilder is known for being one of the most destructive punchers in the division. However, his form of late has not been the same under his trainer, Malik Scott. Wilder has only won 1 fight in his last 4 bouts since they have worked together. That was a victory against Robert Helenius via a first-round knockout. But the Bronze Bomber is coming off 2 consecutive losses. He lost a unanimous decision against Joseph Parker, preventing him from fighting Anthony Joshua after signing a 2-fight deal. He was then knocked out by Zhilei Zhang in his last fight, as questions remained over whether Wilder would continue. Scott has said that Wilder has no plans on retiring as Wardley wanted to test himself against a power puncher, stating that it was a case of who would land first. Yeah, I would. It was an interesting name that I saw thrown into the mix on Twitter and things like that, but I'd jump in and give it a go. I'd happily back myself against him, because ultimately it's a battle of the bombs, and who could land first and who could land cleaner. I think boxing IQ-wise and start-wise, I'm proving that. I'm gaining more experience, more knowledge, knowing more about my opponent, knowing more about myself. Having Ben Davison in my corner, who's already faced Wilder, is a huge advantage, Wardley said. Nevertheless, Wardley's victory over Clark has had some question marks over it. Boxers Ben Shalom cast doubts over the gloves used by Wardley in the victory. Queensberry's Frank Warren has now stated that the gloves were chosen and investigated in a detailed process. Warren revealed the gloves were then presented in front of the opposing camp and reviewed by the referee. Frank also referred to Shalom as Inspector Clueless by arguing that he should have not raised the issue without evidence or an investigation. This is particularly true since Clark has nothing to say about the loss. Frank also argued that Wardley's camp were upset, as it could impact his brand. Warren also made it clear that the British Boxing Board of Control is not doing any investigation over the gloves, as he had plenty to say.
In my opinion, I just think Deontay should just retire. He's done enough. He has nothing else to prove. And I brought this up a month ago, he's got some legitimate credentials for being selected into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in a number of years. 5 years, if he retires now in 5 years. And I know a lot of people don't think he has that, but look at his record, and you can argue, oh, he didn't fight anyone really great or anything, but he can't help what time he was in. He can't help that. He wasn't around in the 70s and 80s. He didn't fight the guys Ali, Holmes, and other cats fought, Foreman and all that. So he fought who was in front of him. So just look at his record. As far as being a fighter, I don't even call him a boxer because he's just crude as far as a boxer, but he's got some legitimate credentials. Look at that. But let me know what you think. But anyway, as I always say with this program, this is our boxing variety show. And we're going to do music right now. And I'm pulling this out from 1971. This is Lauren Lee. And this is Woman's Love Rights on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Hey, hear me, girls. Oh, stand up. To all the women liberators and men sympathizers, I thank you for Lauren Lee. I'm starting a new movement today for women's love rights. Stand up and fight for your love rights. Love who you wanna, 'cause a man is sure gonna stand up
haven't played any Linda Jones in a long, long time. Oh, I love Linda Jones, New Jersey's own Linda Jones, and that was Give My Love a Try. And I was getting into the song, and then as you could hear me footing in with the mic because I was like just jamming to it, had my eyes closed and just drifting off into another world. But before we played Linda Jones, we did the keyboardist Adam McDougall, and that was Pickup. Hope you like that. It's very, very, that's a song that gets you up and dancing, a little funky there. And we started to set off with Laura Lee, Stand Up and Fight for Women's Love Rights. Hope you enjoyed those songs on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. And I hope you enjoyed today my interview with Lynn Twyman of Lasers. Please go online and look for wearelasers.org and check her out and what she's doing. World-renowned known advocate fighting for the rights of all people as far as the issue of domestic violence. And keep in mind, domestic violence, a lot of people automatically say, oh, that's, men doing something to women, but you got the reverse. You got the reverse of that, too. And then you got, gay couples who are going through that. I mean, it's a whole, the issue is just amazing. And so many people just like try to brush it under the rug and all. But check out Lynn's website. Invite her, wherever you are, invite her to your community so she can talk to you about what's going on with the issue and what she's doing to help solve the problem. But again, we're getting ready to get out of here. This is Greg Rashid. I want to thank everyone who listened in today and those who send me comments on Facebook and all the other platforms that you may listen to the program on. Really appreciate that. But again, this is Greg Rashid. Go in love and go in peace. As I always say, when you get up in the morning, get up, look in the mirror, give yourself a big hug and say, I love myself. And if you're sight impaired, get up, hug yourself, really hug yourself and say, I love myself. Because you don't love yourself. You can't do anything. You can't love anyone. You can't do anything in this world because you got to love yourself first. That's the main thing. Love yourself. And then go out in your community, wherever you are in this universe, and help in some way. Just do minor things, picking up trash, anything like that. Help a senior in need in your community. Help a young person, an animal, someone's pet that may be lost or something. Help, do what you can to make this sphere a better place because we're all here together. We can play this game and I don't like him because he's this. I don't like her because she's that. But in actuality, we're here together, so we should band together to do something to make this universe that we're in on this sphere a better place. And we always hear about wars and rumors of wars, and there's so many of them, unfortunately, going on. But do what you can to prevent a war in your little area, in your community. Do what you can and make it just a better place. But again, this is Greg Rashid. And if you want to reach me, whatever platform you're listening to this program, as other people do, just send me a note. Drop me a note and say, well, I want to see this fight on here, or I want you to interview this person. I'll be more than happy to do it because this is a boxing combat sports program. But as we showed today, we go into other issues. So just drop me a line. Again, this is Greg Rashid. Go in love and go in peace. See you next time on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel. Thanks and have a great day.